Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight in our news.
While the government has gone quiet on the issue, our news sits down with OBAN Energy's new president.
Members of Parliament debate the fiscal strategy report.
Irate parents line up outside the C.W. Sawyer Primary School demanding answers.
Our news is brought to you by LLOYD.
Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, nearly a year after the government signed a questionable agreement with the principals of OBAN Energies for a controversial $5.5 billion oil refinery and storage facility for East Grand Bahama, negotiations have yet to start on a revised deal. In an interview with our news, OBAN Energy's new president said he's unsure specifically what the minister administration wishes to see changed. He spoke with Kyle Joaquin.
For years, Grand Bahama's economy has struggled, and as the government seeks to attract new investors to the island, the minister administration has somewhat gone quiet on one project in particular, the OBAN Energy deal. Our news recently got the opportunity to sit and speak with the company's new president.
You know, I think there's a lot of miscommunication going on and missteps on both sides.
OBAN Energy's new president, Alexander GRIKITIS, admitting that communication on the part of both the minister administration and OBAN could have been better. The deal for the $5.5 billion oil refinery came under fire last year as environmentalists raised concerns over the impact such a project could have on the environment, particularly without the completion of an environmental impact assessment. Well, that EIA is done, but the results still not made public. GRIKITIS said because of growing concern, OBAN has tweaked its plan.
We moved the pipeline corridor at a very large added cost to OBAN to go around the reef instead of cutting through and replanting. So we're actually completely avoiding the reef, which, you know, is a big added cost, but at the same time, environmentally, it's the right thing to do.
But there's a lot he can't say. Reason being, OBAN Energies hasn't been able to meet with the government as yet over a new agreement.
Getting them some stuff they've asked for and waiting on scheduling a meeting that works for both of our dates and agreed to us.
But there's also a clause in the signed agreement that locks the government into the deal, even if the EIA determines the project would be harmful to the environment.
But we're not here to do things that are unenvironmentally good for the Bahamas, or, you know, we're not going to just build something to make money and not think about the environment. You know, we all have futures. And
then there was the elephant in the room, that controversial signing where then non-executive chairman for OBAN, Peter Krieger, signed the name of Satpal Duna.
So I think it was just, you know, a name on a piece of paper he thought he was supposed to sign it. You know, I don't think it was really a thought. You know, we already signed. It was just ceremonial. The execution was done previously a few days before, and then the president had left town.
So what exactly happened to Duna, and why did this shift at the top of the company occur?
The thought of living here and moving from where you live is great, but I think, you know, both sides have to, you know, be open to it, and it's just scheduling.
The government has gone silent on the issue, with the Prime Minister refusing to address it, and cabinet ministers like the Minister for Grand Bahama avoiding it altogether.
I can't speak to OBAN, DION folks.
So we went to Labor Minister DION Folks, who chairs the OBAN subcommittee.
You know, the leadership was changed. Yes. There's a new president and a new chairman of the board. We are in discussions with them to have a fixture for a date to begin the renegotiation of the heads of agreement.
In all, GRIKITIS said OBAN Energies is providing a golden opportunity for the struggling economy of Grand Bahama, an opportunity he hopes is taken advantage of.
I think that we just need to, you know, get going and show what we're going to provide. And I think it'll hopefully change the mindsets of a lot of people that, hey, you know, these guys are putting their best foot forward. They're really here for the long haul.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Her Majesty's coroner is investigating the circumstances surrounding a police-involved shooting in a Haitian village off Joe Farrington Road. Police say the victim was a wanted suspect and attacked an officer with a weapon. Chief Superintendent Solomon Cash says the incident unfolded after 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon.
The police had launched a manhunt operation in this area to locate a wanted suspect who's wanted by the police force for several violent incidents of crimes. As a result of that, the officers, they went in separate direction behind these houses in this shanty town when they encountered the suspect. During the time, the officer approached the suspect, identifying himself as a police officer, when that suspect produced a long blade silver knife and attacked the officer. The officer, in a struggle with the suspect, was trying to disarm the suspect. However, the officer, being in fear of his life at the time, produced a service revolver and shot the suspect several times, which resulted in him succumbing to those injuries.
Cash says the man, who our news understands is 23-year-old Benedict Joseph, was wanted for crimes against persons that he threatened with a firearm previously. He says the officer in question was not injured during the struggle for the knife. Meanwhile, Joseph's mother, ZINIQUE FLEURISSAINT, broke down in tears while speaking to reporters.
My son died. Me can't feel good because my son, they respect me no more.
Fleurissaint says she doesn't believe the allegations being leveled by police against her son. However, she says she warned him not to run away from them.
Anytime police lock up, you can't find nothing.
A tearful Fleurissaint, a mother of 4, was eventually hurried away from reporters by her other sons. Meanwhile, a visibly upset crowd of family and friends expressed frustration with how the incident unfolded.
The government is a bunch of Just the young generations. Why you want to kill the young generation out?
In 2018, there were 11 fatal and 9 non-fatal police-involved shootings. Cash was asked to respond to public concerns over those incidents.
If we suspect of violently attacking the police or producing weapons that result in the death of officers, knowing their training, if they are in fear of their life, they will use their revolver or pistol to protect themselves from any harm or death.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Peter Turnquest swiftly shooting down suggestions that the Minister administration is eyeing another increase in value-added tax. Turnquest's denial came in the House of Assembly today when he fired back at PLP Shadow Minister for Finance Chester Cooper. Both men were contributing to the debate on the Fiscal Strategy Report. Jasmine Brown has the details in this report.
The Deputy Prime Minister was quick to shoot down that claim as he insisted an increase in value-added tax isn't even on the government's radar.
The fact of the matter is this government has not had any discussions about raising any VAT. We've talked about this both in, and if you go to our fiscal strategy report, there's nothing in there that talks about an increase in any VAT. So I want to just say to the Bahamian people that there is no intention on the part of this government to increase the value-added tax. There is no such discussion, preliminary or otherwise.
The Deputy Prime Minister, whose comments come more than 6 months after the government hiked VAT by 60% to 12%, was responding to this pronouncement made by Cooper as he railed against the Minist's administration and its fiscal strategy report.
I look closely at the government's 6-month snapshot report. And as I fared when this disastrous budget was announced, the government does not appear on track to meet its lofty budget projections with regard to revenue or deficit.
But Turnquest accused Cooper of trying to fan the flames where there is no fire.
Speaker, this is an unfortunate recurrent, I'm going to call it rumor, or mischief that is being put out. And obviously, as the member for EXUMAS and Ragged Island is voicing it, it must be from the opposite side, which is unfortunate because it has the ability to cause panic in the economy. And that's and exactly, not just locally, but internationally. And so I just want to caution the member to be circumspect.
And Cooper did not stop there as he slammed the 2018 Fiscal Strategy Report and insisted the government failed to lower the deficit as promised. He added that there is a higher debt to GDP ratio than the previous budget cycle. Cooper says at the end of the day, Bahamians are no better off. The Fiscal Strategy Report was released in November 2018 by the Ministry of Finance. It was tabled in the House of Assembly in accordance with the rules set out in the recently passed Fiscal Responsibility Act. Based Based on the Act, that report must be submitted to Parliament no later than the third week of November each year and debated and passed by January 31st of the following year. However, that deadline came and went last Thursday without the report being passed. THOMPSON said the deadline was not met because of technical difficulties. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Parents of the C.W. Sawyer Primary School protested outside the school, voicing concerns about the safety and health issues that have recently come to light. Georgia Bain reports.
Following a heated PTA meeting at the C.W. Sawyer Primary School on Tuesday evening, parents lined up outside the school Wednesday morning demanding immediate answers from the Ministry of Education. A small group of parents stood at the entrance gate of the C.W. Sawyer Primary School Wednesday morning, some holding placards and others urging other parents not to leave their children at the school. ADRIANNA ROLLE was at Tuesday's PTA meeting, which left some parents even more irate.
The parents were very angry. They were not very comfortable at all with their kids coming to school today. And they're just telling us, well, it's up to the parents have to react and we must come out here and protest. But we have work, we have to go to work. I feel as if the teachers should fight and try to get the kids out of the building.
Lester Albury has 2 children attending the primary school and said after all of the information was revealed, he feels betrayed and wants the government to find an alternate location until the issues can be resolved.
The PTA meeting and the staff of the school have been withholding information from the parents for quite some time now. And like the sign says, the school has basically been condemned for the last 10 years. They said that a teacher and I think one other staff member is basically on sick leave right now due to the mold infestation in the school.
It's terrible, you understand me? Because they say the whole top layer of the building is deteriorating. You understand me? And I have kids under there. And if, you know what it is? They didn't had a collapse on the stairs. Children just running up down the stairs and the stairs collapsed and a child was hurt. So imagine if a whole entire top building fall down. Come on, government got to do something.
Teachers did not arrive to school until 11 Wednesday morning, with Teachers Union President Belinda Wilson. Teachers went into the staff room briefly and then were seen taking chairs into the school's garden, refusing to go into classrooms. Wilson said they would tour the campus with officials from the Ministry of Works, but enough is enough.
We've asked for a copy of the full report as to whether this school is sound. Now, we know that there would have been about 10 years ago that this school was condemned. And all of us know that the schools are old. So teachers are going into these classrooms every day with their students and they're not complaining. Yes. And the condition has become unbearable. Then what the hell do they want us to do?
Responding to parents and teachers' concerns, Minister of Education Jeffrey LLOYD said officials were sent to school for about 2 weeks addressing these issues and updating staff on the progress being made.
We have been on the campus of C.W. Sawyer now for maybe almost 2 weeks, since about the 22nd of January. We were apprised of some concerns, molds and whatever and all that stuff. So we have been working assiduously to address that.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
The Ministry of Education announced this afternoon that C.W. Sawyer will be closed to students tomorrow and Friday, and teachers at the school are to report to the Learning Resources section of the Ministry of Education this Thursday and Friday. Meanwhile, the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute is spending $600,000 annually for student rent. This was revealed by BAMSI's chairman, Tennessee Wells, and comes more than 4 years after the male dormitory at the school was destroyed by fire. Meanwhile, opposition leader Philip Brave Davis says government has had enough time to resolve the issues facing the Andros-based school.
We are 2 years since they have been in power. They ought to have been able to find a way to address the issues that are troubling them.
The PLP leader was responding to comments by Wells, who told reporters that due to insufficient on-site accommodations, BAMSI was spending $50,000 per month on rent, a figure it hoped to slash to approximately $20,000 per month when the dorms are completed. At the time of the January 2015 fire, it was revealed that the contractor building the male dormitory was not insured. Davis was Minister of Works at that time. Wells also slammed BAMSI's financial performance, saying it is losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. He blamed the former and current administration's hiring practices for the shortcomings.
Instead of pointing fingers and blaming us, they ought to just to do what is necessary to correct what they perceive to be the challenges. I mean, if they continue to blame us, then they just might as well step down and let us get back and do what we know what has to be done.
Back in June 2017, Works Minister Desmond Bannister described BAMSI as a free-for-all under the Christie administration. On Tuesday, its chairman revealed that the result of a forensic audit would be released by the end of March. Wells says he saw a preliminary report of the audit, which revealed many irregularities, possibilities of abuse of authority, and funds and wastage. When asked to comment on those preliminary findings, Davis said he would have to see the audit for himself.
I cannot comment on it because I've not seen the report, and BAMSI, I have to see the report to see where and how they're addressing it. And again, through whose lens they're looking at. I mean, is it gross mismanagement, or is it just because I would have done it one way, I would have done it another way, and because I would have done it another way, I call it mismanagement. So is it a question of substance or style?
Despite its criticisms of the Christie administration's handling of BAMSI, the Minister administration allocated the same $8 million to the Institute in the 2017-2018 fiscal year that the Christie administration budgeted in the previous cycle. Still to come on Our News, a look at government efforts to meet EU standards, plus tourism reports an additional $300 million in visitor spending. That is coming up when Our News returns.